what GDG is, and same goes with other chapters. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. My name is Preeti, and I'm the lead organizer of GDG, and our guest here is Roman, and he's the lead of the GDG Lawrence. And now it's an absolute pleasure to have you all here today. We have been fortunate enough to host more than 12 events this year alone, and this is the year that we started our chapter. And luckily, every single one of them has been a step forward in our mission to build this vibrant and inclusive tech community right here. Now, today's session is well, I was in the dry run for the session, and I saw bits and pieces, didn't get the entire picture, which I'm here to, address today. Sorry, to witness today. But let me tell you, this is going to be exciting. You'll not see anything other than this created today, at least, this is it. I mean, I don't know, Roman. I have just like two or three people on my list who are this creative, and you're that like on the top of it. and, and second one is my sister, to be honest.
I want to meet your sister.
But yeah, this session itself, how Gemini can be integrated into Flutter projects to create personalized content, intelligent assistants, and how can we enhance user interfaces, going beyond the traditional chatbots that we have been seeing when we say how to interact with Gemini or any LLMs. So I think this is something that brings value to this session. So yes, I'm super excited to host this one, and thanks to you, Roman. Now, let me introduce you to our expert for today's session, Roman. Roman is a Google developer expert in Flutter and a Google certified cloud architect who loves sharing his passion for Flutter with the wider developer community. Now, he is also the lead organizer at GDG Lawrence, as I said. Please join the chapter, and you will see so many sessions going on there. There's a road to Google Developer Certification as well. At the moment, they have scheduled. Now, so he has 10 years of experience as software engineer, as he was talking about, and he enjoys spreading the word about best practices in the industry, ranging from mobile, web to cloud. And we all will get to learn it from himself today in this session. Now, before we begin, a big thank you to our sponsor, GDG Lawrence, for the raffle draw, and Jan.dev. They make bugs like easy with one-click bug reports. They're basically a tool to debug. I would send a link in the chat, and you can explore all about them. And while I was talking about all of it, I actually missed all the slides. I was just checking all the points that what we did. But yeah, I'm happy that this is where our community has reached now. We started a year ago, and now we have more than 700 followers on LinkedIn, and well, everybody is joining us today on Friday evening. So that's something good. And let's welcome Roman. Over to you. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that amazing introduction, Preeti. I've been so honored of meeting you first, and every event that we've done together, it's been amazing. We've brought a lot of joy to the community, and I'm happy and humbled that you invited me to this session. So again, everybody, welcome. I'm gonna start sharing my screens that way you can see what we're about to present to you. Let me know if with just a little bit of a thumbs up in the chat if you don't mind dropping it, just to confirm that you guys are seeing the screen and you can hear me very well. Just wanted to see. Hey, Linda, I see a couple other folks in the chat. Thank you so much. I see that everybody's in there. So again, like I said, and like Preeti just mentioned, at the top of the chat, there is a link that you will use to fill it out, because at the end of this session, as a token of our appreciation, we want to raffle a couple of Google swag. So please make sure to fill out your this form with your email and information, and we will do a raffle at the end. But anyway, I just want to say again, thank you so much for having me here. We're going to be discussing today about how you integrate Gemini to into your Flutter applications, specifically unlocking Gemini's potential through Flutter, but beyond what people are mostly used to seeing out there, which are just like chatbots. So today we're going to be dealing with more than that. So again, in this session, we will unveil the transformative potential of Gemini-powered Flutter applications. Imagine a world where your app understands your users like never before, providing truly personalized and dynamic experiences beyond what people are used to. Like I mentioned, conversational experiences like chatbots. Imagine building applications that go beyond static interfaces and pre-programmed responses. Like these are the common ways that people build applications, up until now. But with Gemini's advanced AI capabilities integrated into our Flutter applications, we can create experiences that dynamically adapt to each user's unique needs and preferences. Tonight, we'll explore how Gemini empowers us developers, to craft intuitive conversational interfaces, but enabling seamless interactions and effortless communication between users and your app. And like Preeti also mentioned, we will be doing like a small showcase of to show the true capabilities of AI in our applications and how we can unlock infinite possibilities to provide amazing experiences for our users. So you are in for a treat. So the first thing, we just come right in and say, what's Gemini? People say, okay, what's Gemini? By now, you may have heard and you may know what Gemini is, but Gemini is Google's next generation family of large language models, pushing the boundaries of what AI can achieve. It provides a versatile toolkit around it designed to handle a wide variety of tasks. With Gemini, you can generate images, you can generate compelling text, translating text, assisting with code, even sparking creative imagination. With advanced capabilities like reasoning, problem solving, sentiment analysis, we're going to see a little bit of that in a minute. Gemini is poised to transform how we interact with technology, making it more intuitive, efficient, and accessible. I have a small exercise for all of you so that you don't fall asleep, and at least I know that you're engaged with me. I'm just going to ask you to drop in the chat one number. How many years do you think? It's like a guess. How many years do you think each take to get to 50 million users? Let's start with airplanes. Let's start with one number, airplanes. How long do you think, how many years did airplanes took to get to 50 million users? I'm just gonna wait for people. Chelsea, you say 10. Let's see other folks. Remember, no right answers. Let's just interact. Let's engage. I see 35, 50. So a lot of people mixing up. Okay, so let's see. I see 20, 37. I see a lot of people close. 80. Okay, so I just gave you time to answer that. Let's see actually how long it took. Airplanes took 68 years to get to 50 million users. Let's try the next one, the internet. How long, just drop the number. How many years do you think the internet took to get to 50 million users? I'll let you drop a number in the chat. We see 14, 5, 18, 5. I see you see, it should be probably, less than airplanes, of course, but I see a couple of folks, 15, 20. Okay. Any other guesses? I see. Hey, Shafat, how you doing, buddy? He says 300. Let's see how long it took for the internet to get to 50 million users. 7 years. The internet took 7 years to get to 50 million users. Let's go to the next one. Facebook. How long do you think a social media platform like Facebook took to get to 50 million users? Let's see. Okay, so you guys are getting the hang of it now. So I see 3, 2, 5, 4 various numbers. 1. Let's see how long. I'm going to give you a little bit of a chance if anybody wants to give it a crack. Okay, 8, 4. Let's see how long Facebook took. 3 years. Only 3 years for Facebook to get to 50 million users. And last but not least, how long do you think generative AI in general took to get to 50 million users? I see a couple of numbers. People are getting the hang of it. I see how people are going. Okay, 2 months. It's not minus 0.5. Awesome. People say less than a year. Okay, so let's see how long it took for generative AI to get to 50 million users. 5 weeks. 5 weeks. The rapid adoption of generative AI It's a complex phenomenon, right? Driven by technological advancements, accessibility, social dynamics, and economic factors. While the long-term implications are still, they yet to be seen, the impact on our lives and relationship with technology is undeniable, and it necessitates thoughtful consideration. But I just want to appreciate everybody for participating in this engaging question. Thank you so much, everybody. So yes, so you see how now you see, the potential that it has, but how fast it took for it to be adopted. So why Gemini for Flutter? So if you're here, you may have known, okay, you already know a little about Gemini, but Flutter. Let's say in one hand, you have Flutter, a highly popular open source, natively compiled multi-platform framework. But then you add Gemini on top of it, you have the perfect combination. Gemini empowers you to infuse your Flutter applications with cutting-edge AI capabilities, transforming them from static tools into intelligent interactive experiences. I see a couple of folks in here who I know that actually even have submitted like applications for the Gemini competition. Shaba, I see you there, buddy. Leveraging Gemini's understanding of user behavior and preferences to deliver content and features that are tailored to each individual. Creating a sense of connection and engagement. So features like I mentioned, like intelligent chatbots, natural language understanding, personalized recommendations, all of that allows you to create your applications that keep users coming back for more. So you embrace Gemini to build the next generation of Flutter applications that stand out from the competition, stand out in the market with their intelligence, adaptability, and user-centric design. So how do you start? For example, you want to start testing the waters on what Gemini can do for your applications. The way that I do and the way that I suggest a lot of people to do it is like dip your toes using Google AI Studio. It's completely free. You will, if you want to go for more capabilities of what you can get with it, you need an API key. But you start by using Google AI Studio. Google AI Studio is a web-based interface, but it's the fastest way to start building with Gemini. It currently has like 2 million tokens context window, which can allow to explore. Will allow you to explore what's possible. You first need to get the Gemini API key, and then you can leverage the vast prompt gallery for examples that are possible with Gemini models. So if you want to start playing with it, like prototyping, you use Google AI Studio. So I invite you to go to that link, aistudio.google.com. You can start prototyping, and like you can use it more like for ideation. So let's start. Gemini for Flutter apps, some use cases. I'm going to show here some use cases. So, gone are the days of one size fit all content. Now people want more personalized content. With Gemini's powerful AI, your Flutter applications can dynamically generate content that is tailored to each user's unique preferences and behavior. And right now, for us engineers and for us even starting with AI is simpler than ever. This means that delivering the right message at the right time to the right person, maximizing engagement and conversion. Imagine, for example, like your app intuitively suggesting products, services, or information that perfectly align with the user's interest and past interactions, for example. Gemini's capability to understand and respond to the user input enables you to create adaptive learning experiences within your Flutter application. So you will see how also we will leverage Gemini's personalization capabilities, creative interactive learning that you can build with those experiences. So it's pretty cool. This is the first demo that I'm going to show you. This is an application that I am building, which I'm calling it Duper Skills. So this is an application that I'm building as a Flutter application powered by Gemini that you can create personalized learning experiences. You can, for example, tell it, what do you want to learn? What level of expertise you have? How do you want the content to be delivered to you? And Gemini generates a personalized learning path or learning program with links, videos, and even quizzes you on a topic that you may want. All of that is through Gemini. I don't have any backend. This is actually talking directly to Gemini. I was able to build this application in a very short amount of time. And if you can see there, I'm even able to generate quizzes on, let's say, any topic that you want to be quizzed on. That way, it not only enhances your learning experience, it makes it more dynamic. It makes it unique to you. And I'm even adding capabilities so that you can do it in a more collaborative fashion. Let me play it again so that you can see it. So I call it Duper Skills. And again, it was built with Flutter, powered by Firebase, and also with Gemini. And this is something that you can use to, for example, this is how you would expect in the future how learning experiences come about. It's not like a cookie cutter. It's actually personalized to you. Is giving you're providing is actually learning from you. You give it some context, and then Gemini replies to you with a personalized, very custom tailored to you, a personalized learning plan that you can learn with because of your preferences. And this is, for example, a basic architecture on how I build it. So you have a Flutter application, and then you collect some user preferences. For example, like, what do you want to learn? Python. What is your level of expertise? I'm a beginner, intermediate, advanced. How do you want the content to be provided? I want videos. I want links. I want web content. I want maybe some audio, whatever. You pass that from your Flutter application using the Google AI SDK for Dart. You send all of that to Gemini, and just by tweaking the parameters and kind of like tweaking the payload along with the prompts that you're sending, you get a response that you can then parse it accordingly in your application, and then you can deliver it to your user as a very personalized content. And it's never gonna be the same, from one user to another. It will be unique to you, just thanks to the capabilities that Gemini can offer to your applications. Now, how do you start integrating Gemini with Flutter? So the way that you do it, for example, in this case, this is how I build the Duper Skills application. So let's say I collect the user options in some simple class. For example, I say the subject, the level, and the content options, whether I want videos, whether I want links, I want maybe some PDFs or whatever. I collect the information. Then I import the Google Generative AI package from pub.dev. So you could go to pub.dev and you import the Google Generative AI package. Of course, you're going to need an API key. Remember, I told you use AI Studio to get an API key, because you need that to make a call to Gemini. Then you assemble a generative model. A generative model is an instance of Gemini that you pass it the model that you want to, let's say, that you want to tap into. Remember, there are certain models. You have like Gemini 1.5 Flash, Gemini 1.5 Pro. So it's the type of model that you want to query against. You give it the API key, and then you pass a parameter called generation config. This is key right here. So let's explode that parameter. Within that generative model instance, you need to pass this generation config. So the generation config is an object that then you tell it how you want the response to arrive back to you. People are more used to, for example, using that chatbot experience. This is called a structured query, like a structured request that you do to Gemini. You're telling Gemini, I don't want the reply to be just like text, or like you're like in a conversational request. I want it to be an application/JSON format. I want that you pass the MIME type, and then you even specify the properties that you want your JSON to return. In this specific case, I say I want a subject field, I want a level field, and the level will represent, for example, if I'm a beginner, if I'm a advanced or whatnot. And then content options will be, let's say, a list of options, like what are the links, what are the videos, or whatnot. You can make this maybe more into an array. You can make this more of a complex object. So you pass the schema of what you want Gemini to reply back to you. As you see it here in this slide, you see that Gemini is actually returning a fully qualified JSON with the properties that I am asking, let's say, my model. Then after you assemble the generation config, then you're ready to assemble the prompt. So the prompt is simple. What I'm sending Gemini is just saying, I am a level, let's say I am a beginner and I want to learn Python and I want the content as videos, links, etc. Once you assemble the prompt with the parameters that you collected from the user, then it's time now to perform the query. So now is when you say model.generate content, you give it the prompt plus those options, and then you receive a JSON because you already specified how you want the JSON to be. You don't have to worry. The JSON will be exactly as you're expecting it. You can parse it, and now your application, you can consume that as if it was like a backend, but it's actually generated by Gemini in a very smart fashion. So I totally invite everybody to use this type of approach, asking Gemini for JSON in a specific payload. You define the schema. Of course, you provide all the parameters, and then you receive the JSON, you parse it, and then you can generate any widgets that you want. So the Flutter package that I showed you, the package, Dawn, I'm exactly right there where you want it to be. So what is the package called? The package is called Google Generative AI. But it should only be used for prototyping purposes. You only, let's say, want to, get your product to maybe as an MVP. You want to, execute it. You want to put it out there, get some feedback from users. You use the Google Generative AI. You go to pub.dev, search for Google Generative AI, but it's only for prototyping purposes only. The way to go about creating applications for production use, it should be the Firebase VertexAI package. That is the one that is the recommended one. The good thing is that they're interchangeable. I'm going to show you how that works. They're interchangeable because the API is very similar. But using the Google AI SDK for Dart, again, like I mentioned, is only for prototyping. You kind of risk potentially exposing your API key to malicious actors. That is the reason why using the VertexAI is more secure, and I'm going to explain why. So calling the Gemini API directly from your application using the Google AI SDK for Dart, like I showed you earlier, you risk exposing that API key. If any malicious actor wants to unbundle unpack your bundle, can grab your key and then can make calls against your generative AI, and it can exhaust your quota. So for production and enterprise scale applications, access the Gemini API server side to keep your API key safe, or migrate to the VertexAI for Firebase instead, which offers additional security features like, you can integrate it into Firebase. You can actually add Firebase app check. You can integrate it with authentication and the whole Google Cloud ecosystem. So this is the recommended way to go. Again, the VertexAI, it gives you and this is pretty much how it should be done. So the VertexAI Gemini API gives you access to the latest generative AI models from Google, the Gemini models. If you need to call the VertexAI directly from your mobile application, this is how you do it. You import that package, and then you make calls against the API. This integration, again, allows you to seamlessly integrate it to Firebase. You can do a Firebase app check, like I mentioned, because you can ensure a secure API call and safeguarding your backend infrastructure. So this is the way to go. And now let me show you how, for example, how interchangeable both are. This is the Google Generative AI. This is how you make a call from your Dart, from your Flutter application to Gemini using the generative model. You pass the model key, the model property. You pass your API key. The generation config is the same. But now if you want to do it through the VertexAI for Firebase, this is how it's done. So you notice something. There is no API key, but the model parameter is the same thing, and you can call exactly the same method called generate content. This is how it looks on the Google Generative AI package, only for prototyping purposes. This is what it looks like using the VertexAI for Firebase API. Your key is secure. You don't need to expose it, and you can use the same calls, and you can also parse the JSON the way that it comes, and all of that you have. But the great thing is that you have security. It's integrated with other Google platforms, and you can even have analytics. You can check, for example, like the performance of your your Gemini in your application through the Firebase console. Can use Gemma LLM too. Gemma LLM is actually used through another package, but you could actually tackle other models. As you see here, for example, you could do Gemini Vision, Gemini Pro, Gemini 1.0 Pro, Gemini 1.5. But Gemma, there's a generative AI package that you can use for other Gemma family of packages. Great question, though. Thank you. So let's continue. So now, we talked about like, multiple use cases. Like imagine intelligent assistants, not just chatbots, but intelligent assistants. Imagine your app having its own built-in expert, available 24/7 to answer questions, provide guidance, troubleshoot issues. For example, you can leverage Gemini's deep understanding of user behavior, sentiment analysis, so that you can offer personalized recommendations and insights. So by incorporating intelligent assistants into your Flutter application, then you can create a more engaging, productive, and personalized experience. Let me show you this. For example, now we're going to ask one more interactive question for the chat. Does anybody know how many platforms can Flutter compile into? Remember, Flutter is a multi-platform, open source, supported by Google, open source framework. How many platforms can Flutter compile into? 7, 8, or 9? I'm just going to give you a chance so that you can just drop that number in the chat. You can take a guess if you don't know it. Some of you, if you know it, you can do 8, 9, 7. I see like a couple of people already, try to guess. So how many platforms can Flutter compile into? Awesome. The answer is 9. So 9 is the many platforms that you can build with a single code base, and you can distribute that across 9 different platforms. You can use the Wim Whaler mnemonic that I came up with, because it's Windows Web, iOS, macOS Wasm, Android, Linux embedded, and RISC-V. You see how many platforms you can, broadcast and publish your application so that you can get to your users in different ways in the device that they're using, also powered by Gemini. So it's 9 different platforms. Thank you, everybody, for joining that interactive question. So let's show another example. So this is what I was talking about how you can build for multiple platforms. This is actually building a Flutter application for the Raspberry Pi, and I'm site loading it with a open source operating system called PrimeOS. PrimeOS is Android based, and I am using Gemini with Flutter so I can send it commands via voice using that microphone module in there. And then I tell my module, for example, using the sentiment. For example, I tell this virtual smart assistant that I'm calling Doopy. So I say, Doopy, I say something funny, and then starts laughing, for example. Or I say, go to sleep, and then he goes to sleep. So it uses Gemini's sentiment analysis capabilities. I just ask it, what is it that I want? Gemini replies to me with a response, and then I parse it accordingly. This is how I productize this application, because let me play it again for you. So again, like I said, this is a 2.1 inch circular screen that I bought on AliExpress. Of course, this is a Raspberry Pi 4 Model B, and you can use it to site load it with either like Linux. You can actually load Ubuntu. You can site load it with a PrimeOS, like an Android-based operating system, and you can just load your Flutter application in there, powered by Gemini. No changes whatsoever. Same packages, same code. Just drop it in a module like this, and you're good to go. So these are the kind of experiences beyond chatbot that people are expecting out there from us developers. This is how I architected it. So imagine the module, a Raspberry Pi loaded with PrimeOS, or probably maybe like a Linux-based operating system like Ubuntu. And remember that those platforms actually support Flutter, like I mentioned. I connected it to a 2.1 screen. I have a module, like a microphone module, that then I speak to it, and then I tell Gemini, or actually I tell Flutter, I'm using a speech to text API. So let's say I ask Flutter, I say like a joke. I think I was using the joke that says like, what are astronauts? Something about like astronauts, and then I was just making a joke. And then I pass that information. The speech gets converted to text. The text then gets sent to Gemini. Gemini interprets that text and then replies to me. I tell it, please reply to me with a sentiment value between happy, sad, funny, worried, sleepy, or something like that. And then Gemini took my prompt, took the parsed text from the speech, generated a JSON, which then I was able, based on the value that I received in the JSON, I was able to play the corresponding animation. So these are the kind of experiences that you can build with Gemini. You can use it as a backend, as a very smart, capable, strong backend, that then you can use it to feed your application with intelligent information in a JSON format. Now, for example, I just use exactly the same application, but instead of loading it on a module, I was able to acquire an Android-based smartwatch. This is pretty much loading the full version of Android, but in a watch form factor. So I was able to grab exactly the same application that you saw on that Raspberry Pi, and I loaded it on this watch. No changes whatsoever. Because the watch has microphone capabilities and it has a speaker, I was able to load Doopy, this smart assistant, and while I was tapping on the screen, I was able to talk to my my personal assistant. In that moment, I say, "Go to sleep," and then he went to sleep. Then I said like a joke, and then I said, "Oh, please leave," because I asked it a question. Then I was doing like a lot of interactions with it. So I love the fact that with no changes whatsoever, I was able to tackle two different platforms, completely different platforms, but provide a great user experience that my user would be delighted with, all thanks to Gemini. And the way that I architected that one is actually pretty much the same way. The only thing that I was able to do was just replace that device. So you just, for example, like from that watch, in this case, instead of like installing a microphone module, I was able to talk directly to that device. The device then was able to capture my speech, convert the speech to text. The text was assembled with the prompt. Then I sent that prompt to Gemini. Gemini then returned to me with a JSON payload that then I was able to parse, feed it into my application, and then I play the corresponding animation. Very simple. So this is how I always encourage people to use Gemini in these innovative ways. So again, let's continue. So you see, I was mentioning about like how with Gemini for Flutter, you can create enhanced user experiences beyond what people commonly use out there. Forget those static one-size-fit-all design. With Gemini, your Flutter application can create user interfaces that dynamically adapt and respond to individual input, preferences, and context. By leveraging those capabilities, you can design user interfaces that are not only visually appealing, like I just showed you, but also intelligent, adaptable, and highly functional. This leads to a more engaging and satisfying user experience. So I'm going to show you another demo of another application that I built, but this time it's not an application per se. This is a game. So I built my own Monopoly game with a Google theme, which I'm calling Intro into the Googleverse. So this is a game that I rigged with NFC chips for each one of the properties. Imagine the properties being like Google properties. Every property has a NFC chip attached to it, and then I build a Flutter application, a companion Flutter application. You see how the pieces of the game actually react when you put it on top of the device, because it's actually enabled with NFC, and then you can pick like your character. Then you use the phone, you tap the board, and the board is able to then generate for you like random outcomes. Every single game is a different game on every turn. It's not two games don't look the same. It would be like really, really high, a very low probability that two games would have the same outcome. While in Monopoly, for example, you have to shuffle the cards and then you get the other card, like, community chest or casualty. Here I call them community forum and I'm feeling lucky. So I was able to create this experience powered by Gemini. And then I was able to create a very engaging experience for your users. You can bring them into the fold. You create amazing experiences, all powered by Gemini, and they don't have to be your regular run-of-the-mill chatbots, because that's what people do. You can take this much further by building amazing experiences like that. Yes, we'll definitely make this available, and then that way we can do that. Yes. The available in DevFest, I can definitely make it available for DevFest. I'll have to take it on the road, but it's very playable. That's all I can tell you. Thank you. The next one, let's continue. So now, of course, it's all fun and whatnot, but there are certain considerations that you need to take into consideration whenever you're creating these type of applications. You have to think about responsive AI. Yes, they may be the boring aspects of it, but they're very important. AI's impact, again, as you embrace the transformative power of AI, like Gemini in your Flutter applications, it is crucial to address the ethical considerations and adopt responsible AI practices. Like what? AI models, can inadvertently perpetuate biases, present in training data. So you need to be cautious about that. Actively, you make sure to work to identify those biases, mitigate those biases, respect the user privacy, try not to collect data and then mine it. You can obtain consent before you do those kind of things for data collection and usage, because sometimes you definitely want to train your models. You want to train your models from the same user data, but you need to be conscious about privacy and data security. Remember that responsible AI is an ongoing process. It requires continuous vigilance, adaptation, and a commitment to ethical principles to ensure that AI technology is used for all of our benefit. And of course, you cannot leave security out of it. That is the reason why we were mentioning, instead of using the Google Generative AI package, you should be using the Firebase VertexAI. Not only because of it's secure, because it gives you access to a wider range of capabilities. As far as security, by prioritizing security and privacy, you demonstrate how your commitment to protecting user information and fostering a trustworthy relationship with your users, and then that kind of gives your users more confidence to use your application. Let me give you another one because I know you guys are a fan of these demos. So this is another application that I built. This is like a puzzle application that I created. This puzzle, I called it Cruddle. So it's a cross between crossword and puzzle. So you're able to connect words, kind of like in a puzzle, like crossword type of way. All of the words, the connections on the words are actually generated by Gemini. I saved tons of code and tons of logic just by leveraging Gemini to do the connections of the words. So here you see how words are connected. It's actually Gemini doing the word connection, the logic for the word connection. All I'm doing is just parsing the payload that I receive from Gemini. It gives me all the words. It tells me where they're connected. And all I have to do is just parse the payload and I'm off to the races. So these are pretty cool experiences that you can build. And you're like, wow, I never thought that Gemini could be used this way. Yes, it could be used for anything. There's an infinite possibilities that you can use to build experiences like this. Let me show you another one because I know, you want to see more stuff. So again, the future of Gemini and Flutter, as Gemini continues to advance, and we're actually scratching the surface. As it continues to advance, you have to expect to see even more sophisticated features and capabilities, opening up new doors for innovation in your Flutter applications. Apps will become more dynamic, adapt to their behavior and content in real time based on user actions, environmental factors, and involving data streams. You may have heard like multimodal interactions. We're going to talk on multimodal. We're going to tap into multimodal interactions in just a minute. But bringing AI processing closer to the user device, like some folks were mentioning, using like Gemma. Like those are models that you can bring into your device you can even save trips to the server, but that will enable faster response times, reduced latency, and improved offline functionality, let alone better performance. So, of course, you should definitely leverage those more lightweight models like Gemma and some of those to actually bring those capabilities to the edge. So this is one game that I'm actually taking on the road. And for those of you who don't know, I'm also one of the organizers for Flutter Conf Latam. This is a conference that it's the first conference in Latin America. I'm taking this game to Flutter Conf this year. So this is a game that you can play with multiple players. You can pick like a character from one of our beloved characters from Google. And as you answer correct questions about Flutter, you advance in your track. All of the questions are actually generated by Gemini on the fly. And then you can even pick your level of expertise. This actually brings more dynamic capabilities, engaging in activities, better learning experiences that you can use. Like you can bring people together while they're thinking they're having fun and playing, they're actually learning. So this is another way that you can twist applying Gemini to your applications for bringing people together, provide more engaging and innovative learning experiences. People think they're actually racing or like jumping from, like block to block or circle to circle, but they're actually learning. And the great thing is that this application is completely powered by Gemini. Of course, the animations and whatnot were built with Flutter and Rive. But the core of this is actually the questions. You can use this for not just Flutter. You can use it for any question. Let's say you want to use it in your classroom, and then you want to bring your students, into that learning experience. Well, they're learning a topic. You could do that by just giving Gemini the topic. Gemini generates the questions. You feed it into this application, and you're good to go. So these are the kind of experiences that people are actually expecting from us developers. The future of Flutter and Gemini is brighter than ever. The synergy between Gemini and Flutter will only grow stronger, allowing developers to seamlessly embed AI, like I've demonstrated in some of these demos, into your applications and create experiences that were once unimaginable. We're on the cusp of a new era of building in the next generation of applications that are not just tools, but intelligent companions and things that bring people together, adapting to our needs, anticipating our desires, and empowering us to achieve more, even to learn more in a gamified fashion. The future of Gemini and Flutter is bright, filled with endless possibilities. So I hope that some of these demos have actually inspired you not only to innovate, but to grow. Again, like I said, the only limit is your imagination. I'm going to show you one more, and with this, we'll wrap it up. This is a application that I'm actually building myself. I'm calling it Fundare. Fundare is going to be a new social platform for safe online challenges. Some of you know out there, like TikTok and whatnot, they're they're keen to like take your data, and some of them like provide some challenges that are not very safe. The premise of this application is that it will provide safe and fun challenges that people can submit, and then you can challenge yourself and you can do a challenge. For example, like the bottle flip challenge, the dance challenge, like fun challenges like that. Instead of being like, they're going to be vetted, of course, by, curated by humans, but also are going to be validated by Gemini. And this is going to decrease the biases that maybe one person has over another, or, in this particular case, Gemini will be the engine to power the validation of those challenges. I'm going to show you actually what I mean with a better example. So this is me. I'm going to show you now how this application works in the wild. I'm testing it, for example, locally right now. But imagine this being like on a, like in a conference or in a team building exercise at a company or something like that. Imagine there being like a screen. People can select the challenge. You pick, let's say, a drawing challenge, and then I give you a challenge: draw a house in 5 seconds, and let's see if you could do it. So what this is actually doing is actually creating a short video, sending it to Gemini. Gemini evaluates the challenge and returns to me whether the challenge was completed or not. This is me doing like another challenge, like the cup stacking challenge. Imagine Gemini tells me, you need to do this challenge. You have to stack a bunch of cups, and if you do it, then challenge completed. But this is actually the cool thing. I'm doing it again, and I'm purposely failing to see if Gemini is going to do it, and effectively told me that I failed. So these are the kind of experiences that we're able to build now with Gemini, where this is the multimodal in action. Instead of just sending text or sending just images, you can send video, you can send audio, you can send full documents. You can do a lot of things, and these are the kind of experiences that people are expecting from us developers. Gemini being kind of like part of your, of your ecosystem, and bringing people together, powered by AI. So this is something cool. Are you promoting Gemini? Well, I am. I'll definitely answer a couple of the questions before I wrap it up. But I just wanted to show you that last demo in there. But this is pretty. A couple of the things that I'm actually building, and this is just a very basic, high-level architecture and how I'm building that experience right there. So as you can see, you can either send to Gemini, you can send, for example, from the screen, you can collect all the image frames, like a certain amount of frames, or a short video. You then encode that video, and then, or the way that you do it with Firebase for SDK, the VertexAI for Firebase, you upload the video to Firebase, then you send this URI as a file part to Gemini, and then Gemini evaluates that video and returns back to you with a specific payload. Remember, kind of like the way that I assemble the payload. In this particular case, I say, return me the name, whether the challenge was completed or not, as you can see in the payload, and then I can just display it on my application. But you see how I obscured all that amount of crazy logic that Gemini should be doing. All of that is behind Firebase, and I was able to focus on providing a great experience for my users while giving the heavy lifting to Gemini and Firebase. And this is a very, again, like I said, a very high-level architecture and how that was built. But it was very, and of course, I'm gonna take this on the road, like I said. Anybody wants to bring it into your Dev Fest and whatnot, it's kind of like a good activity for in between sessions. And then this is the last thing that now it's actually in preview. I don't know if I was supposed to show it to you, but I think it's actually out there. But this is truly, it's going to be like game changing from Flutter and Gemini. This is actually something called AI generative UI, which is still in preview. Instead of doing what I'm doing right now, which is pretty cool, you can generate JSON and then use that JSON to then generate some widgets on your own. Instead, you give Gemini a prompt, and it will return the widget that you will actually generate and give it to your UI, and the UI will just render, and then you're done. Instead of then you parsing the JSON, see what it is, it will actually give you entire widget trees that then you can compile and bring it to your application. For now, it's actually simple for like simple widgets, custom widgets. It doesn't generate now, but imagine if it could. If you actually describe the widget that you want, and it would actually generate that widget. You just grab that payload, the text that it comes from Gemini, you feed it into Flutter, and your UI just get repainted with a brand new widget, and you didn't have to do much. So this is pretty cool. This is something that is still in preview, but it's the ability for Gemini to generate UI components on the fly. Like I mentioned, dynamic experiences driven by user input, context, and situations. And then you just feed it to Flutter, and then it's rendered for you. So this is pretty cool. Pay attention to this. This is actually coming, I believe, end of this year, next year. I can't say exactly when they're promising this, but this is actually in the works, even in preview right now. But this is something really promising of how far we can take Gemini with Flutter and how to create amazing experiences. So you can either, I think with Preeti, I think we can make these slides available. We can share these slides, but these are some of the resources that I want to provide to you. These are some, again, Google AI Studio, the two packages that you could use for prototyping and for creating production level applications in Flutter powered by Gemini. Of course, the whole showcase of Flutter Dev with AI, and a couple of code labs, a couple of them put together by yours truly. so that you can actually learn how to build these cool experiences. Some of these code labs, I created it specifically for you, for some of your communities. The top one is actually created by Flutter, and you can even like win a badge while you're building Flutter applications powered by Gemini. For you should take either, I think we can share these slides, but you can either take a screenshot or take a look at some of these URLs. And then you can actually not only get proficient more on building Flutter with Gemini, but it will put you on the right path for doing so. Again, like I mentioned, the future is here. By embracing Gemini and Flutter today, you're not just building applications. You're pioneering the future of intelligent, user-centric experiences. I say that I myself, I'm not building Flutter applications anymore. I am creating experiences. The future of Gemini and Flutter is bright, filled with endless possibilities for innovation and growth. Like I mentioned, stay curious, stay adaptable, and embrace the exciting developments that lie ahead. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this session. Thank you for all of you who were able to join. Of course, GDG Surrey for putting this together. Preeti, you're amazing. Thank you so much for bringing me along. Now let's see if you have any questions. Maybe we can address a couple of questions in the chat. And of course, we're going to be doing the raffle, so stay tuned. The raffle will be here. Yes, correct. Yes. So let's see. Okay, so either some of the questions, I didn't see any questions in the Q&A section, but we can maybe grab a couple of the, yes, we will be sharing the slides. Actually, why don't we do that right now?
Sorry.
Oh, I don't know, Bridget, if you can drop the link in here as well.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but I think, I didn't turn the Q&A. I didn't start the Q&A on time.
No problem.
So do you see the Q&A right now?
No, I still don't see it. But if anybody has any questions, you can drop it right now in the chat. I was just trying to, Maxime says, are you promoting Gemini at all before you're making calls? When you say promoting Gemini before I'm making calls, if you could maybe just...
Yeah. Hey, sorry. I was asking about the prompting. So, how complex do your prompting, like how complex does it get? Do you have some sort of where you evaluate what you're prompting? How you sort of evaluate what you're using? Have you gotten to that stage or something like that?
That's a great question. So again, remember that I mentioned that with AI Studio is how I even start things with. So I don't start immediately coding. Here is where I polish my prompt. Like I start little by little. For example, I'm even going to show you how in the slides, I even have some of the prompts that I used to build those experiences. For example, I think this one, which one? Oh, for example, like look at this one. This is a prompt that I'm using to generate the words that I'm feeding into that application called Cruddle. So the way that I start usually here I start with AI Studio. I tell AI Studio what I want, and then I start polishing and iterating over that prompt. It could get really complex, but then what I remember that you need to be conscious about the tokens. How many tokens a prompt can contain. The minimum amount of tokens that you can be concise but precise on what you want is the key. So prompting, being like a prompt engineering, mastering that is actually the key. Look how this prompt says. The prompt says, see, it's like a little bit big, but but let me show you what it does. So it says, generate a list of 5 random words using all words in the English dictionary. The first letter of the second word must be connected to any of the letters of the first word, so on. You have to be very specific. Maybe I was a little bit too verbose, but at least I was able to tell it what I want in what I wanted, and then say, even return it as a JSON payload containing a property called words and stuff like that. So let me run it. So the way that I do it, see, there it is. So my payload is just something like this. Like, okay, so I have an array called words. Then I have, like an additional words property. So I have to be very precise with the prompting. I have to ask it what I want. Then I say, okay, I start refining the prompt. This is what I want. This is in the format that I wanted. So this is never, it's more an art than a science. This is never like something that it could be taught and you're like, yes, you're 100% on that. You have to experiment, you have to iterate. And this is the reason why I encourage everybody, before you even build your application, if you only have your idea, use AI Studio and start iterating over, let's say, the prompt that you want to build. And then at the end, when you're satisfied with the outcome, then start trimming the prompt to bring it to a decent amount of tokens, so that then you can not only save cost, but also save the interaction back and forth. I see another.
Can you see the questions in the Q&A? I copied and
Let me
pasted
see
all
the
of
questions
them.
in the Q&A. I still don't see it in the Q&A. No, I want to click. For me, it just shows.
How about I read them out loud?
No, that's fine. If you just you copy the questions in the Q&A, I still can't see it for some reason. But Shava says, how do you exactly do the cold word based activation of Dupi? Oh, let me show you. So for Dupi, the word activation is actually pretty straightforward. So let me bring it over so you can see. I think there it is. So for example, imagine if I bring this prompt to Gemini. Let me zoom it in so you can see it. So I say, reply with the most appropriate sentiment between, let's say I give it the list of sentiments. In this case, I say, reply with the most appropriate sentiment based on the command provided to a coding assistant named Dupi. The command will say, for example, if I say, I love the flowers in the spring, right? The available sentiment options are, I also provide that programmatically. If the options are happy, sad, let's say sleepy, and let's say bored, now I say only reply with one of the available sentiment options in the form of a JSON with the following structure: a property called sentiment with one of the sentiment values above. I'm going to try it again. So I'm going to grab my prompt. I'm gonna stop editing and running, and look, if I say I love the flowers in the spring, it's gonna return happy, because I told Gemini, do not get out of these four. So now if I say, for example, oh, I don't, let's say, I'm so tired of this class, for example. Let's see what it thinks if it's sleepy or bored. So it says bored because I gave it that context. And then I said, for example, like, knock, knock. Like I was telling like a joke, like knock, knock. Who's there? Something like that. Look what happens. If I say that, it says happy, because knock, knock, who's there is the closest thing to a joke between happy, sad, sleepy, or bored. I tell Gemini, you have to stay within these bounds. That way your application will never break. Your application won't break if you tell Gemini precisely what you need. You give it the parameters that is going to play within, and it's never going to get away from that. It's not going to give you something like, hate. No, it's not, because you didn't provide that. So that is how, this is again a very simple example, but this is actually how you can tell Gemini, work within these bounds, be very precise and concise, and then ask it what you want. This is how you tweak your prompts, and then how you tweak it.
I will tell.
Yeah.
I will tell one more trick which can immensely improve this, is if you give some examples.
Oh, you could definitely do that. Thank you. That's a very good point. Then I don't provide the examples through here. There is another parameter that I actually missed to mention, where you actually provide the examples. Like you say, this is how I want it. I think even they provided it very recently. If you go to Google generative AI, if you go to pub.dev, they added that very recently. This is an additional parameter. I think it's here, like in the examples.
I didn't see that yet.
They provided like in the.
Okay, I will look at that.
But if you look at it, they provide an example, like an additional parameter that you can pass to that for the examples. Like I'm like, wait, I didn't know that this existed. Oh yes, there it is. And then if you go, not only you provide the for example, like the generative config, but you could also pass like I'm forgetting the parameter because it's very recent. And this is how you provide the examples. You could put it in the prompt, but you're actually using the parameters the way that they're supposed to, and that is specifically for examples. But it's a very good question, Shava, and I know that you're gonna find the answer right away.
So I'm sorry. What my question meant to be is when you say "Hey Doopy," that's the activation. So when you do speech to text, you need to get this time when you start the recording and you end the recording, what you send up.
Oh, yes. Right now I'm hacking it. But yes, you could actually, when you say, hey, Doopy, that is the activation, let's say, trigger that is always listening to. And then the speech to text API, you can use then this other package, what I mentioned, the speech to text. I even had it right there. So the speech to text API, you could just keep looking for that, and then that is the one that when you provide the speech, you can just synthesize it. You provide you like tweak how precise you want it, how sensitive it is, and then when I say hey Doopy, oh, you said hey Doopy, that means let's start listening, and then after that is the prompt. I assemble the prompt with that. But this is me when I was like playing with that. But there are many ways that you can go with this. But speech to text was the initial core. You capture what the user is saying. Because I could start saying, oh, Shava is my best friend. Can you give me this? I didn't say hey Doopy. I started saying something else. So the first part is the trigger. Then after that is then off to the races. So that is how I tackled it right there.
Nice.
But yes.
Okay, I will look into it. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you, and thank you again, Shava, for all your support and also being awesome. What else? Any other questions? I still don't see them in the QA and the Q&A.
Linda just pointed out. I made it private Q&A, so only I can see the.
Okay, got it. No problem. But anyway,
I have some
Linda
more
says
questions.
that I may have gotten the questions. Does anybody have any other questions before we proceed to the raffle?
I have some more questions.
Oh, good. Maybe you and I, what we can do is you and I will have a private conversation, and I'm all yours, Java. That way, we don't, we don't extend the conversation, and then we can. Okay. Don says maybe we could talk about cost using the models in Vertex. I'll just talk a little bit about that question in particular. Right now, Gemini gives you a free tier where you have certain quotas. And if you even search for example, like here, like Gemini pricing, it actually tells you how much you can get from Gemini right out of the gate. But you can do a lot of cool things. They say free of charge, but you see that the asterisks. But for example, free of charge, you actually get like 1 million tokens per minute. 1,500 requests per day. So you could do really nice prototyping. You can get your product out there, get your MVP, get validation. And then after that is when you then, you can provide some of that. But these are the basic core, let's say, pricing points that are available right now for free of charge, because they're still fluctuating on how to charge it. But right now you could do a lot of crazy things, even with the minimums. You can see how then you can bump it up to a pay as you go. And then now you have a little more and still is pretty affordable. For example, look, you have like 30 cents for 1 million tokens. You have, for example, like 4 trillion tokens per minute, 1,000 requests per minute when you don't exceed these limits. And you have like really, like a good range that you can use without breaking the bank. But even with the free, you could do a lot of cool, demos, put it out there. And then once, let's say, you build your $1 million idea, then you get funding, and then you can, you can then afford it. But pretty much right now, it gives you like really good capabilities. Awesome. Preeti actually is asking questions. So awesome, Preeti. So you say, where should you start if you're just getting started in application development using AI? So again, the best way to go about it, for example, like I mentioned, I didn't know much about AI. And of course, I would love, Preeti, for you to join this conversation as well. But I myself, there's a great courses out there for like getting proficient with AI, and don't go too far from the Google ecosystem. Cloud Skills Boost which is a platform from Google. It has great courses and hands-on activities that you can build your knowledge in Google and how Google does AI, and it brings you like to a confident level where it teaches you from the very basics. What's AI? What's machine learning? And then it tells you about, for example, like those low-level APIs like TensorFlow, Keras. It tells you about VertexAI, and then you learn the basics of AI, and you learn at your own pace, and you learn with hands-on activities, and that way it makes you more proficient. I would say also, again, join communities like this, build stuff and learn. There are amazing resources out there, aside from, again, what we're providing you here for free completely. You don't have to break the bank. You don't have to go to college and get a PhD. And you can leverage all of these capabilities, all of these resources, so that you can build your knowledge on AI. Myself, like I said, a year ago, very little AI. I only knew what AI stood for. Right now, I'm pretty confident to actually build applications with it. And I can articulate, terms about AI. But I definitely recommend Cloud Skills Boost. There's a great AI course on Udemy. No, actually on, I think it's Coursera has like really great stuff in there. But yeah, I definitely recommend some of the stuff out there. And Preeti, I will welcome if you want to open up and provide that as well.
Yeah, sure. I'll talk about how I learned it recently. So I'm coming from the electronics background and then customer service industry. And then 3 years ago, I thought, okay, I'll start it. So I literally started with programming languages like Python, and I took the Coursera courses, Udemy courses, to get the Python programming, going up for me. And slowly, again, from the deep learning courses, the deeplearning.ai by Andrew NG, there are many courses there. And again, it doesn't break your bank. You can access the information for free. Go to Coursera. There is edX, EducationX or edX. I don't know what's the full form, but they provide this. Again, you don't have to literally go for a certification. You can just build your knowledge.
That is true.
Practice it back and forth. Maybe like join the communities like these, and connect with people, build a team, build something smaller. You don't really have to build like big projects. Start from like simple problems, and I think that's how with all the resources that's out there, you can learn AI as you practice, or any other skills. And for AI plus cloud particularly, because I think to get started with, you don't really need to look at which cloud technology you really want to get into. So for Google Cloud Skill Boost or Google, I would say that they provide you these credits for labs and practicing your skills. So at least you can get started with your cloud technology skill as well when you go with these labs. So yeah, one step at a time, and explore the resources.
This was one that I actually learned a lot with. There's Udacity. I was forgetting the word, but Udacity has one like free course on machine learning, introduction to machine learning with TensorFlow, and actually Paige, she's actually right now in Google, and she gave that course when she was in Google. Then she went to Microsoft, and Paige Bailey, that's her name. She's like the mother of AI, and she's amazing. She was in Google, then she went to Microsoft, then she came back to Google, and she's like one of the head of generative AI and Gen AI in Google. So I think she's there on that course that I dropped in the chat. It's pretty good, and I didn't know anything about AI at all, and I took that, and I was like, oh, this is an amazing course. So definitely recommend it.
Right. I think there's just one more question that I posted earlier. Is Gemini and Flutter supported in Project IDX? Yeah. So, would you like to take the question? I can take the first half, because I know that Project IDX, they have Gemini already available, on the ID. So you can, that's kind of co-pilot for you. Yes, I mean, if you want to know more about how Gemini works in Project IDX, last week there was a session on this particular topic. So you can just go to the past events in our on our official page. Yeah, so Gemini is there, but I would like to know about Flutter
Yes, Project IDX, I definitely recommend it. You can create like a sandbox or what they call like a workspace. And Project IDX is actually a web-based environment where you can build applications powered by Gemini, because you have access to that. But you can build web applications, mobile applications on the cloud, like Android, iOS, of course, Flutter Web, and you can actually tap into Firebase from there. So I love it because you don't have to install anything on your machine, and you can just go even to your library and hop on a web browser and start coding. So I love Project IDX. I definitely recommend it. I love it. Let's say if you want to do like a workshop, or you want to just like not install anything on your machine, and then you want to like get proficient on some of these technologies, Project IDX is amazing. It's actually based on Google Cloud Workspaces. Imagine like a virtual machine that gets spun up for you with all the dependencies already installed, and you can immediately hit the ground running without having to install like Android Studio or like the Flutter SDK. You just open up Project IDX, create a workspace in your preferred framework or language, and you're good to go. So definitely recommend it.
Perfect. I think we can.
You don't need a Mac for IDX, Sid. Sorry, Preeti. Yeah. So you don't need a Mac for IDX. You need a browser. You can even do it like in Chrome, like in a Chromebook. You just go to Project IDX and you can do it from any web browser.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we. What I think is this crowd has been amazing.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you for staying all the way.
Amazing.
Now it's time to again reward you for supporting us all the way. So Preeti, I'll leave it to you.
Perfect. So if you haven't dropped your name and email addresses yet in the link that's pinned, that's for raffle draw, please do. If you're available here and your name pops up in the wheel of names, please say hi, hello, or yes, I'm the winner, whatever you like to say in the chat. And yeah, we would love to see you win. So let me give you 2 more minutes for everybody to put their names in the link here. Yes. Chelsea, what's one thing I think I'm missing on when it comes to these fun raffle draws? That being the organizer, I never get one.
Me too. I'm like, I wish I was a participant because these are really cool raffle items. So please invite me to your events where you're raffling cool stuff.
Right. Well, okay. So I'm gonna copy the names now.
Awesome. You might. Are you sharing your screen? I can't see it from here.
Let me quickly share the screen as well.
And we wish luck to everybody. Again, like I said, thank you so much for being here. This means the world to us because we want to bring the community together, providing high quality content like this, and just spending a nice Friday night with us means a lot to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we start now? Should we start, Roman? What do you think?
Say what again? I'm sorry.
Should we start with the wheel?
Yes. So we're gonna can you put another tab where we show what we're actually raffling? So we're raffling swag. We're gonna raffle 3 mugs, 3 Google mugs. Those are amazing. They keep like your tea warm or your cold beverages cold. It's really nice. I'm telling you, I love it. So I don't know if you can put it up there on the screen as well. Is a Google branded mug. Is pretty cool. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, for those of you in the US and Canada, you're good to go. If you're on any other country in the world, we're going to have to compensate you with a gift card if we cannot ship it to you. But it's not our fault. It's the Google merchandise store. So we'll work it out. But anyway, everybody's a winner here. So yeah, we'll have to hack it with AI. Yeah, that's true. Awesome. So I think we're ready. I don't know if you're going to show it or not, but other than that,
yeah, no, I just wanted to know, like, kind of in a technical need right now. I just want to know, how do we share?
Oh, like okay, because maybe or I mean people. Okay, there it is. So that is the Google Cloud mug. It's amazing. It has like the bottom is like cork made. It keeps it really warm. So I hope you guys love it. Now let's do the raffle.
Right.
And wish
I mean,
everybody luck. Thank you, everybody, for.
this is our favorite, right? Let's see who gets it. Okay.
Good luck to everybody. The first one, we're gonna raffle 3. So the first one goes to
Whoa! I think we have a winner.
Chelsea. Thank you. Are you here, Chelsea? So another thing, the person that we pick has to be present. You cannot be sleeping already. Your friend will ship it to you. No. Chelsea's here. Congratulations. So Chelsea will reach out to you offline, and then we collect your information. That way we can ship it to you. Okay. Congrats to you.
Congratulations! And now the
So
second
the second one, the second Google Cloud mug. I hope. Okay, awesome. Let's see who's the next lucky winner.
Fingers crossed. Okay. Do we have right now?
Raj, are you here? You must. Oh, there it is. Okay, perfect. We're gonna reach out to you, and we're gonna ship you your Google Cloud mug. Thank you so much for joining. Congrats. And the last one, the last mug.
Okay. Can I put my name?
You got the link.
Well, I'll do one name and just my
Let's
name.
do the last one. Good luck to everybody. And the lucky winner is.
Okay.
Are you here? You have to be here to win it. Let's see if you're here. You have to answer. Awesome. Okay, there you are. We're gonna reach out to you, and we're gonna ship you. If you're in the US or Canada, you're all set. Any other part of the world, we're gonna compensate you with a gift card. But anyway, thank you so much. You are a winner. Congratulations.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending today. I should say that this has been like such a good audience, and like the questions, you get to know from the questions that everybody's so much engaged, and they want to like literally learn things, and they are here with us on this Friday night. So, okay.
Let's do something before we close up. Linda, I think you're there also. The way that we do it, we take a picture.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Let's take a
I will
picture
take
of all
some
of us.
screenshots, but
If
you
you
have
don't
to
mind-
hold because I have like 3 pages to take
If
pictures.
you don't mind opening up your camera, and then all of us. There you go. Hi, Dino. How you
Everybody
doing, buddy?
Google sign and smile.
I'm good.
I
Thank
will see
you
you with
for
your mug soon.
saying this, Roman. So, how are you doing, y'all?
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for being here. Let's do the Chavez
Google
already.
sign.
He's ready. Let's do the GDG sign. I promise this is
GDG
not
is simple,
a gang sign. This is the GDG sign.
Oh, so many people now online. Everybody turn off their cameras. Okay.
Let's do a couple of
1
pages.
second. I did the first page. I'm going to the next one.
I'm getting carpal tunnel in my finger.
I apologize, but
No, I'm just kidding.
I can do only 1 page at a time, unfortunately. And now I'm going to the last one.
Okay, so you're in the last one. We were on the first page. So.
I don't really know, because, everybody shows differently. Okay, I got all the pages. I will send it to you quickly in the Slack, okay?
Awesome.
Hey, Linda, do you miss me?
Yeah, you never show up anymore. I was thinking of you the other day. You grew up.
Linda.
You was a kid years ago.
I always like to get into such GDG events, but we are from different regions. I'm in the Bay Area, and you're in the East Coast. Maybe I could get a plane ticket to New York, and we could visit you in the New York City subway one day.
That's okay.
Thank you so much.
I was just wondering your whereabouts because he was always present to all the events. It's good you are around.
Do the honors. Wrap it up.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy to see everybody and faces, like 4 pages that we had to capture in this screenshot. Yes, so I think I would like to say thanks to GGG Lawrence for the raffle, Roman, you, and all the other GDG chapters, because I think there are 9 chapters who collaborated on this one. They co-hosted, and I believe this reached to the different parts of the world, right? Jam.dev, thanks to them. They are our partners in this one. And yeah, about the Slack or the Discord, we have a Discord channel. So if there are any questions, reach out to us on Discord. We're not too much active there, like in terms of chat, but we do answer questions, and we share our projects there. So yep, to reach out to us for any projects with Roman, with any of us, please feel free to touch base on LinkedIn or email us, and let's collaborate on more projects. And okay, happy Friday, everybody. I don't want to hold.
Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you so much.
Happy Friday. Take care, everybody. Thanks, Roman. You're amazing.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Linda.
Happy Friday, you all.
Happy Friday, y'all.